The night I called my neighbor a monster, I set it to the peephole so it wouldn't echo. The hallway smelled like bleach and boiled cabbage. His note, folded, precise, was tucked under my bore. Your music after 10 p.m. is unacceptable. It was 10:03. He lived alone in 4B and wrote like the bylaws were scripture. I drafted a reply in my head that would have caught fire from its own self-righteousness. Then I saw his second note, slipped an hour later. Apologies for the tone. Please just keep it down tonight. No signature. As if the ink itself were embarrassed. I wanted to win, to be right, to be the suffering protagonist in a small apartment opera. Instead, an old voice, my mother's, nudged me. Imagine the kinder reason. I rolled my eyes at myself, but I tried. What if his complaint wasn't malice, but fear? What if the noise tugged at a thread I couldn't see? The next afternoon, I met him in the elevator. He stared at the glowing numbers like they were disobedient children. He had a paper bag with 2 apples, a newspaper, and a single white candle. His hands shook a little. I was ready with a brittle hello, but he spoke first. Sorry about the notes, he said to the panel. Anniversary. The word fell between us like a dropped key. Of what? I asked, too blunt. He swallowed. My wife. 3 years. He cleared his throat. Music helps most days. Not that night. Anger is grief that forgot its name. The sentence didn't arrive as words, just a softening under my ribs. I saw him not as 4B the complainer, but as a man holding a candle through a date circled in permanent marker. A week later, the building lost power in a summer storm. The stairwell was a vertical tunnel of hot breath and flashlights. I found him on the 3rd landing, sitting with his back to the wall, his candle guttering. I hate the dark, he said, like a confession. I sat down next to him, our shoulders not touching. We passed the candle back and forth while the rain threw itself at the city. He told me his story in stitches, how he'd married Anna in a courthouse with bad coffee, how she laughed with her whole face, how hospitals are always too cold, how silence, in the end, sounded like a door that never opened again. I nag now, he said, a crooked smile in the dark, as if neatness could keep chaos out. I thought about my own neat stories. He's petty, he's cruel, he's out to get me. Headline thinking. It's delicious until you remember headlines leave out the chapters. The layoffs, the diagnoses, the nights we pace to the window because the room is too full of ghosts. I've been loud, I admitted, and dramatic. I slammed a drawer Tuesday just to hear it obey me. He laughed, a startled sound like a bird changing direction mid-flight. We began a quiet treaty. I put felt pads under my chair legs and turned my speakers toward the wall we didn't share. He showed me how to reset the fuse when the building breathed wrong. He started bringing home 2 apples. I started baking on Sundays and pretending the extra loaf surprised me. He corrected my composting with an intensity that would have been maddening if I hadn't learned to translate it. I need to feel useful. When he misstepped, he did, often, with the precision of a man raised by rulers. My first impulse still lunged. He's impossible. Love, I'm learning, is not the absence of that impulse. It's what you do next. I paused long enough to ask, not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you? Sometimes he answered, sometimes he didn't. I practiced patience, the kind that isn't passivity, but breath, the space in which better explanations can arrive. One afternoon, I caught him in the lobby bending to tie a little kid's shoelace. His fingers trembled, but he finished with a neat double knot. The mother mouthed, "Thank you," eyes bright. Redeeming features, I thought. Pedantry is the shadow of care. The things that grate often have a twin that saves. It wasn't all sweet. He lost his temper when a delivery scooter blocked the ramp.
I snapped at him for rearranging the laundry room as if he were reorganizing my life. We both said small, mean things we couldn't take back. But then, something like an armistice, "I'm sorry," he'd say, first every time. "I'm scared a lot," I said once, surprising myself. "Me too," he answered as if we were finally speaking the same dialect. The storm season passed. The building lights steadied. On the first cool night of autumn, we ate cake on the stoop. He told me about Anna's favorite movie, the one with an ending that refuses to fix everything. "Tragedy isn't punishment," he said. "Some things just happen." The sentence didn't absolve anyone, it simply released the need to blame. A month later, my sister called with news that turned the floor into water. I couldn't speak. I knocked on 4B. He opened the door and nodded as if we'd rehearsed this. He put on a kettle. He didn't offer platitudes or solutions. He just sat with me while steam fogged the window, and the city kept on proving it could be both brutal and beautiful in the same 10 minutes. Here's the line I keep under my tongue now, ready for when the world flares. There are no monsters, only biographies I haven't read yet. It doesn't make me saintly. It makes me accurate. The person cutting me off in traffic, the coworker who hoards credit, the neighbor who writes notes. Behind them, infancy. Behind that, a story. Behind that, a wound. And behind all of it, the same quivering, ordinary hope to be seen as more than our worst moment. I still play music after 10 p.m. sometimes. I also slide a note under 4B's door. "New album tonight, low volume, window open. Come listen if you can't sleep." He rarely comes by, but sometimes through the thin city air, I hear a second candle flicker into life. I picture a courthouse with bad coffee, a laugh that warmed a decade, and a man who learned to love again, not by feeling less, but by imagining more. I didn't fix him. He didn't fix me. We practiced instead. Imagination over judgment, stories over headlines, patience over pride. And on most nights, that's enough. The quiet, stubborn work of looking at one another with gentler eyes and choosing again and again not to turn away.